walking out of my bedroom this morning after waking, singing and sinking, oh God, I'm dying. Outside stretches while I'm tearing in the misty, cloudy, wet day, looking up to the sky. Roll on up for the prices down, come on in for the best in town. Take your pick of the finest wine, lay your bets on this bird of mine. My temple should be a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves. Get out! Get out. My time is almost through. Little left to do. After all I've tried for 3 years, seems like 30. See my eyes, I can hardly see. See me stand, I can hardly walk. I believe you can make me whole. See my tongue, I can hardly talk. Will you touch, mend me, Christ. Kiss and cure me, even pay me, Christ. There's too many of you. Don't push me. Don't crowd me. Leave me alone. Long live God. 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 Prepare ye the way of the Lord. Prepare ye the way of the Lord. God save the people, brick by brick, heart by heart. We may not reach the ending, but we can start slow but truly mending, brick by brick, heart by heart, and of course day by day. We can build a beautiful city, yes we can, and call it out in the name of Man. So as you see, there's this energy of death among us this morning, but of the death of the man, of the ego. As the lamb rises, and that actually came up in my daughter's name this morning. So I wanted to bring this read from today first, because that energy needed to come up. It is very much the death of the ego and the rising of the twin flames. As even Teddy this morning purged by throwing up his breakfast, which he doesn't normally eat in the morning, at 11:11. And this first energy started at noon today with the journey, after I woke up at 9:18, which is my birthday, and then I woke again at 9:33, which is the Christ vibration. And then I did some work on my iPad in bed, getting up at 10:33 and not doing that on purpose. I went to the bathroom, got dressed, and as I walked out of my room, oh God, I'm dying came up. And it was 10:38, which is the reference to Mary Magdalene, the Queen of Cups. So very much Christ and the King of Cups, the Christ vibration rather, and the Knight of Cups. It's really like the King of Cups and the Queen of Cups together as the Knight of Cups. So I have a few other messages as well, but I want to bring the one from today first. I put out the journey of love first. There are cards on the table. I just meant to pull out the energies. I was just going to pull a card for you guys to see what kind of energy was coming up, and I could not give you the information on the table because it's very profound energy along with this, and you have to see the first cards from the journey of love because they're also very profound today. So here is the first read. Okay, the Journey of Love on top, the Wild Unknown Animal Guidebook second, and then was the Metatron deck, or rather not the Metatron deck, that's actually Crystal Angels, which I don't usually use because it's not great for reading in this way, but they were guiding me to pull out the crystals, okay? So I did pull out the crystals. So we have Journey of Love at the top, the Animal deck, and then the Crystal Angels, and then the Metatron deck, and then my half deck of Rider-Waite, which you can see I was just trying to fit onto the couch, all the cards that were coming out at the end. Okay. So for those of you not familiar, the underlying energies on the left, I usually pull out 3 cards, and then the other cards that want to come out are used in numerology, but also in more messages for the read, or conclusions to the 3 cards in a way. All right. So we start at, it was right at 12 o'clock when I pulled the cards for the Journey of Love. And right away the Phoenix Rises came up of the King of Swords, which is number 51, as the Sagittarius Archer pulls their bow. And this was all coming out from cards that were just weren't being pulled. They were the bottom of the deck of the cards that were sitting next to me. The King of Swords was coming up, the Archer was coming up, and the Phoenix, as I looked right over at them this morning. The Phoenix rose with the King of Swords, 51, as the Archer Sagittarius pulls their bow back, directed at my calcite rock, which I actually put on the table for you. So normally I just have this other stone here, which is a shape of Mother Mary that I found on a retreat, a very special retreat that I've told you about, very much associated with Mary Magdalene. And next to it, my calcite, I realized, was very much shaped like that same stone. So these 2 stones today are representing Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene here, and the buttercup yellow of Mary Magdalene. And that stone was right there with the cards that were speaking to me. So the Archer pulls their bow directed at the calcite, which is the rock, the sword, and the stone, aimed at buttercup yellow or Mary Magdalene. So here's that Jesus energy pointed at Mary Magdalene. So I then pulled the Wild Unknown at 12:06 and the Crystal Angels at 12:06. 6 is the Lovers, of course, and 12 is the Hanging Man. And then at 12:07 was Metatron, the Hanging Man, and the Chariot, which also references the Ascension, the movement of Ascension, and the Key, the Gamma Ray, and the Boomerang. And then 12:08 for the half deck at the end, which is the Hanging Man, and the 8 of Inner and Outer Strength, of Manifesting Dreams, and of the Twin Flame dance. As we get right into this. So the cards at the end of each deck came up as the Journey of Love, for whatever reason, was separated off from the others today. So it was 1 and then 1, 1, 1, 1. And then 1 and then 15, 33, and 22. And then 13, 31 was also coming up there. So of course 1111 has come up a lot recently, and it's the first entry in Gematria is Twin Flames, the leap or the arc to the Twin Flames, the bridging to the Twin Flames. And then the 1 to the 15, 33, 22 was coming up as 33 is the Christ vibration, of course, but also 22 in the Metatron deck comes up as Sandalphon, which is the partner of Metatron, but the sweet energy, right? The more feminine energy. Not that the masculine's not sweet, it's just the more feminine energy. And then 1331, which is life and death. 13 is the death card, 31 is the 5 of wands, which is that chaos energy of war and battles, of life and death, but also of control and chaos. So the leap to the Twin Flames, and the leap or the arc to the shadow of Christ, with an open heart and a leap of faith. We have the devil, the Christ, and the fool there, where the devil goes across the bridge to the station. Remember, 22 is the 5D station. And then 1331, death and life, control and chaos. As I looked up 1331, and the first entry was the level playing field. So leveling out the playing field. And then Christ entries on Gematrix, which Gematrix is GE, which is energy, and then the matrix, but also matrix is the mother and the trix, or the tri and the X. Entry and energy of the matrix, the mother's tricks or tri dancing. So the third entry was I am victorious. 4 was November 30th, and today was the 30th. 5, the art of war. 6 of nothing wrong. 7 of giblet gravy or giblet gravy. 8 is nothing but love. 9 is Jesus the Messiah, and the mess in Messiah was coming up here, right? The mess of I and the us, and the 10 of the Jerusalem Post. And again, the New Jerusalem came up as Philadelphia the other day from a website. 11 was 133, so you can look that up if you want. Actually, I think I looked it up already. 12 is, I meant to look this up, Stotland forever. I don't know what that means, S-T-O-T. 13 was all mine, unlegal entities in my name. 14 was Joe Morgan is the Baphomet, which I don't know what that means either, B-A-P-H-O-M-E-T, Baphomet. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong, and I actually do know the word. I don't know, but that's the spelling. 15 is 393. 16 is winter is here. And actually, one of the other numbers associated with that entry was 918, again, my birthday. Again, referencing the birth of the feminine. The 17 of Yahweh, but not spelled the normal way, Y-E-H-I-W-A-H. 18 was longevity. 19 is Jesus Christ, I am back. And is that Jesus Christ speaking or somebody else talking about Jesus Christ? 11:30 already came up, I told you, November 30th, but also here 6:14 came up, which is actually the day I reached out to my twin for the very first time. 20, and it's also the lovers and the temperance card, which is the angels, so the higher love. 20 was God's my number one all the time. 21 is June 14th. 22 is I am QA born again. Declared numerical prophet of God. 23 was 331. 24 was reach every child. 25 was reptilians think they are gods. 26 was my luck is about to change, and then the capital A. 27 was be not afraid, learn math to speak God's language. 28 was crowd strike, and I was just talking about Christ in the marketplace, right, and rebelling against being overwhelmed. And again, the twin flame energy of 28. So 28 and the crowd strikes. The 33 of personal Jesus was actually the entry there. And don't forget, the closer you get to the union, the more rebellion you will feel. So if anyone strikes out at you, remember to maintain your composure. The 34 of the elect Pleiadians of the Lord God Almighty. 41 was, it is safe to fall in love, or is it safe to fall in love? And the 41 is the Ace of Cups. 133 was Monica, Sheila, and Brianna. 393 was President, do something, and accurate. And also there was Liquid Gold in Netherlands there. And then 331 was Emmanuel, Max, and Second Coming. Now I looked up a name that's related to my daughter, and it was just really interesting because it was describing my daughter as the glories and beauties of Jen. My daughter's name is Jenna, which I'm sure most of you know because I talk about her all the time. Years, and feet of Jen, and also my daughter's name is J-E-H-N, not Jennifer. It's Jenna. J-E-H-N-A, but the spelling online for J-E-H-N-E with an accent on it means lamb, and J-E-H-N-E-C also means lamb, and my maiden initials are E-C, and her father's mother's maiden name is Fair Lamb, okay, and my daughter's very fair, so she is the Fair Lamb, and she's had remarks regarding that energy anyway. So, and also her and her boyfriend's names, they both resonate to the same number. But then in numerology, when you're adding up names, you usually use the single digits. So whereas V is 22, you use the 4 when you're actually doing the numerology for the name. So for my first name, Evelyn, for example, usually the number is 29, which is what I always thought of it as. But when I looked up all the actual numbers of Evelyn, it adds up to 83, and my daughter's name adds up to 38, and my soul number is 38. So it was very significant. my outer personality number is 42, which is the Two of Cups, and my life lesson number, or my daughter's life lesson number is the same number, the 42, Two of Cups, and her soul number is the Six of Cups, this very sweet, fair lamb energy. So that twin flame energy has been really coming up a lot. I've been telling you about the love energy that's been kind of pumping in this past couple weeks, or even this past month or so. And there was a leap. The energy is continuing from the numbers that came up, a leap to align, and unity consciousness in the middle at 12:35, which is the Hanging Man and the Wounded Warrior. And by the way, I started this video, it was actually started at 6:30, and then I had to stop it and restart. So it started at 6:35, which is the Wounded Warrior, and 6 very much as the lovers and the family, but also that community consciousness of Christ. And you notice in the song for Jesus Christ Superstar, and I've tried for 3 years, seems like 30, and then he goes from I tried for 3 years, seems like 90, and they skip 60. So they always skip the 6 in the middle, which is coming up as that 309 number I always give you, because the 6 is the present moment in the middle, right? As we were going from the 3D, 4D, 5D. And that was just coming up as well as that 6 of community, which was very much the energy of Christ when he was here, as opposed to 9, which is more universal. So I started here at 12:43, the underlying energy of the 47 and the soft vulture. The ametrine energy came up in the underlying energy, which was expressing the balance of the masculine and feminine. 32 of the Tree of Life, the Page of Wands, which is number 26, and again the year 26 being very significant here, as 23 to 26, 20 to 23 to 26, of course, when Corona started back in 20. And then, so there's always the 369. So we have like 20 to 23 to 6 to 9. And then there's a 1 more, right? Because that's the transition to the next, which then would bring us to 2030. So we have the 7 of Cups synchronicities of heaven in your eyes. And again, this energy of Jesus Christ Superstar and Godspell and heaven in their eyes. And again, my message I brought up last time of my message from Jesus at the Cathar's Castle on the ground with my group, with Mercedes Kirkle. I'm seeing the tree, the sun coming through the tree, and getting the message from Jesus. Look to the sun and to the butterflies, and why would you keep your eyes closed when there's all of this to see? And he was speaking from the cross. So heaven in your eyes, from the crown, from the heart to the crown, soft like the pearl, the vulture, the grandparent, the old eagle, has softened with age, aged well, willing to take scraps, not so picky anymore, as ametrine comes up as the I am, E.T., and Rhine, to strip, to touch, concern, affect, to pertain to or fall to handle with, or actually to tend to a certain outcome. A water course or ditch, snow or rime, the frost or icy sliminess that pertains to or collects on trees and structures, to push, shove here near the speaker, we, us, and ooze. So the ametrine was coming up as the am of I am, the et effect, or to fall to, the water course or ditch, and again referencing the snow that fell on the tree, the ice, or the slimy ice that's becoming water, the water, snow, and slimy ice that collects on the family tree. In the rung of the ladder, the rhyme of the song, serves or row or number. And again, this series of things, the pattern, poetry, verse, to match, line up, row of hills or low mountain, the story, the tale, or the account or accounting, the recording of your history back to ETs. So ametrine, am is also E-trine, 3 to warble or chirp, which was funny because I was chirping with the birds talking to Teddy yesterday. I was trying to explain to Teddy how the birds are talking to him. And he was very attentive about that, and then going to check it out and trying to figure out what I was talking about. But the triple of the trine, the threefold, the threesome, the triad, and the 120 degrees, to execute, hang, walk or tread, to go, and the small gate. Oh, I just got another message there. So in this online picture that I brought to you before, where Taurus isn't actually Taurus, but it's the dragon facing Orion, and the dragon's breath goes up into two directions. One is the big gate and one is the small gate, which and that has to do with the twins. The twin, I forget the stars' names at the end of the dragon's breath, and then the other two stars that are part of the twins. But the energy of that was just coming up. The meter then here was coming up as in ametrine, METR, and then INE, which is the number 4, water, I, jaguar, in, and Friday. And number 4 is the L and the 1 of the lambda and the leap, or the arc. A ruler, jaguar. A meter, I am. The meter of 39 to the 47th. And again, two names of masculines, 39 and 37, as we talked about before, the Knight of Cups and the King of Cups. The imperial inches. The Knight of Cups and King of Cups with the point between, a meet with her Friday at the inn by the water. And the jaguar was coming up as the agua between the J and the R. And agua is water, but it's also the moon. And JR can be junior, but it has other references for me right now with romantic notions inside, or soft, not icy, where the pearl is porous. Remember that the pearl is the part of you inside where the bacteria got into the clam and your body rejected that bacteria, and that became the pearl. So all of the difficult things you've taken in over time has become this beautiful pearl. And the pearl is the porous part of you. It's soft. It's about allowing your heart to stay open, to allow things in, the water and emotions to come in, and the room at the inn. The 32 of the journey of the tree of life, allowing the snow and the emotions and the white hair as a sign of purification. From the orange to the gold, where white's in the mix and less red, more white becomes golden in the end. Balancing the masculine and feminine energies and confidence. And my writing was really sloppy today, like more so than usual, and I was noticing that. There's this energy of just not being able to write neatly. Balancing masculine and feminine energies and confidence and creative inspiration in your golden years, the golden age of purifying the ego. With passion, where passion is pass, ion, or connection. To take, turn, eliminate, move past, or put through a sieve, put in circulation, as opposed to inspiring, which is breathing currently, or a water meadow and house, to wobble and swing and not be so stiff, like the basement that needs room to settle, to breathe, breathing room. So the Page of Wands came up here as inspiring, and remember Page of Wands is 26, is inspired to love, because to breathe or to inspire or breathe in is to love, simply. And then I remembered in my other message that I was getting, which may come up in what I bring you today, I was getting this energy of 3 seconds, like 1, 2, 3, and then 3 months and 3 minutes. I'm like, well, which is it that you want me to reference? And then my sister was over, and I was talking about this 3-second energy because I'd watched The Mustang, where I told you this. They asked them how long it took you from the time you thought you wanted to kill someone or rob someone or whatever they did, till the time you actually did it. And for most of them, it was from a split second to maybe 10 seconds or something. You know, there was no time between their thought and their action, because and my sister brought up the fact that she read an article that said it takes 90 seconds to get to that anger point. So if you wait the 90 seconds again, you probably won't take that action. So again, the 30, 60, 90 energy is coming up again there. And again, it could be 3 long breaths where each breath is 30 seconds, and then that would bring you to the 90 seconds. So to breathe is to love, because then you're loving yourself by not getting yourself in a whole lot of trouble, right? the underlying energy of the 32 of the journey of devotion to the small, the 45 of hidden beauty, and the 47 of the soft but softening to the inner child. From the spark of the 1 and the heart fire to the 15 where the mother prays, and the 37 of fire and ice of the sun and unconditional love, as she prays in the shadow because she is kept in the dark, not because she is the dark. And in this card, she's very much the upper chakra colors, not in lower energy. But it's the mother praying, right, which can be of good intent, but it also could be praying for something other than what the person wants, which isn't good, right? So she prays in the shadow because she is kept in the dark. She is willing to take on the dark because of her love for her son. And the son who's playing on both sides of the fence because he wants to be home with her, but also wants to play with the neighbor and come home for dinner and project heaven on earth. The 2 of Pentacles of do-si-do of what the daily grind could be, with the shadow and the light of love, the unknown and the possible working together. The 17 of dreams coming true and her grace in extending her hand in devotion to the small and the vulnerable, purging and sad and softening just right to left. So I also, for whatever reason, when I woke up this morning, while I was in bed for a little bit, I don't know why I was being guided to look up my initials, my maiden name initials, which is EEC. And there is no word EEC. Of course, there's an acronym. But I looked up EE and EC, which end up being one thing anyway, because one means the other, and then it just becomes the EC. And EC means an I, the letter C, and the word at. And also can be eek as well, like I, the letter I, like I in whatever language that is. Okay. So, the I, as in the physical I, also came up. And then something called enantiometric excess, which has to do with the opposites like hands, right? So if you superimpose your 2 hands, they'll never match up because they're actually opposite, and there's no part of it that actually matches up. It's completely different. But there's light in that. And again, this energy has to do with bringing opposites together that can't be superimposed. Because when they're superimposed, there's something about it, like it takes the light away, if I'm reading it correctly. So E, yes, law, rule, bond, and this is all coming up under EE and EC. E, yes, law, rule, and the bond of marriage, and again, bringing the hands together. Yes, she, her, and it. To eat, consume, and feed, and then the AE of ash came up as well, which also means bright light in Pleiadian, according to Elena Denon. But that AE also means 1, and the numbers 1 and 9 both came up under EE, as well as water, in, and thee. So, rotates plane polarized light. So the molecule or ion with chirality, CHIRALITY, rotates plane polarized light. So, and what it was coming up as with the twin flames is the relationship I was getting was that you may not be able to superimpose your own reflection of your face in the mirror, but your twin's reflection does superimpose on you. It was very interesting the way that was coming up. So, moving on, at 138 to 39, which is the Queen of Cups and the Knight of Cups. And by the way, there was a conjunction here between Mercury, Uranus, and the Sun, and the Moon, which was trining all of those things. So really big communication energies today with Mercury, Uranus, and the Sun, exposing all. As the sharp spark of the golden white light, and the title I was getting at the top of this page was The House of Union 2023. And that's interesting because Elizabeth Edoms, and her site's called The House of Edoms. I don't know if it's still called this. It was like that when I went on her trip to Hawaii back, years ago. But the sharp spark of the golden white light through the heart to the pearl that's collective over time. The snow, frost, and ice softening into water, that which can stand the test of time, which then breaks up as the TT of test and time and the EST and IME. The EST, of course, referencing East or Eastern Standard Time, and the IME referencing I am me, the moral man's path and to source me, where East is urgent with Easter, but then East her also comes up as Esther and the Eastern Star. So then the Eastern Star is coming up, and there's a whole bunch of different Mason type of energy for females under that energy. It wasn't just one. So there's an Eastern Star organization, AARegistry.org, and the organization OES. In 1874, the oldest sorority-based black women's organization in America. And then I just wrote down like the top line of the website said, Queen Esther, Chapter 1, 708 0 Street, Northwest Washington, D.C., Mrs. Georgiana Thomas. So then I was getting the energies of the East Star, and what East Star are they trying to get me to right now? And I looked up the Eastern Horizon right now for today, but I was actually in Ohio, not in Pennsylvania, where I am. And so first I was seeing Hydra with Cancer on the Eastern Horizon, but I'm like, which star are they referencing? But the Messiers were coming up there. So Messiah was coming up because Messiers needed to come up, which has to do with the star clusters and swirls and things like that. But M44 came up for Cancer, and M67, which is Hercules. 44 is Hercules, or her harvest for numerology. And then the 67 is the Page of Pentacles, which is that, forever student of life, the Page of Pentacles. And Cancer very much looks like a Y, and so does Virgo. They both have Ys in them. And of course, the symbol for Cancer is that 69-8 of the 698 pod, so that was coming up. But also in these Masonry clubs, we're bringing up the 5 points of the Order of the Eastern Star. This was coming up as one of the entries as well when I looked them up. And this is coming up from reference.com. The first was Ada, Jephthah's daughter, from Judges, and the elements related to her were youth, spring, blue, and respect for vows. Ruth came up as number 2, the widow from Ruth, abundance and growth, and the summer season, and yellow came up for her, and piety. The third was Esther, as had come up already. And of course, Esther was the wife in Esther. And the color associated with Esther is white, as we're talking about purification today. And there was no season. She's like the ether energy of the 4 elements combined, right? The collective. So the 4th element and ether come in together as 4 and 5, because it is the collective of that. And again, this was coming up as Esther, as ether energy, no season. And her cardinal virtue here being fidelity to family and friends. Number 4 was Martha, who's sister of Mary and Lazarus in John. End of life was her specialty with winter and green, and faith through hardship. Number 5 was Aluta. Am I saying that right? I'm not sure. Mother and elect lady. And that was from John. She references or represents full maturity and autumn and the color red, and patience. Faith, she's patience, yes. So Eastern Star, Virginia.org was men and women, but you had to be a Master Mason, and you had to be a woman who's related in some qualifying respect to a Mason. And they had an order of rainbow for girls. And they accept all religions. The only requirement is that you have to believe in a supreme being. But they did have certain requirements. You had to be above age 18, etc. So then I was going to the stars, and I was in Cancer. So Lambda is in the middle of Hydra between Nu and Alphard Alpha. Cancer has the Messiers 44 and 67, which is the beehive and the king cobra. Cancer and Virgo, like I said, had similar Ys, but different rotations. That was just bringing in that definition I just told you. And then Moon in Virgo today, Mercury's Taurus today, Venus Gemini, Mars Cancer, Jupiter in Aries, Saturn in Pisces, Pluto in Aquarius today. The Ascendant in Sagittarius, of course, North and South Node are still in Taurus and Scorpio, and Lilith still in Leo. So, as I said, all the communication planets, Uranus, Mercury, and the Sun, are conjunct today and trining with the Moon. So lots of communication would be very clear today. Actually, it wasn't very auspicious for dreaminess today, but is for very realistic and clear communications. The sextiles were with the Moon, Mars, and Uranus. So Moon to Mars, and then Mars to Uranus, and then Neptune to Pluto, and Venus to Jupiter, to be more realistic today. And they talked about the Lyrid showers as well that were happening during April, and the fireball ones, which are much more bright than the normal shooting stars that you might see. So I don't know if you can still see some. They may just be more random right now and, not guaranteed, because they were talking about earlier in the month. But then I went to the Philadelphia position, and the East is Sirius. So the Eastern Star was coming up as Sirius today for sure. And then Rigel and Beetle and Procyon, all of the Orion stars were coming up. And of course, that's the winter triangle. And Vega had also come up with Lyra. And that Venus was near the Seven Sisters this month. And Lyra's next to Hercules, her harvest. And then when it was still in the Ohio position, Pegasus and Andromeda were on the west side, opposite from Cancer and Hydra. So again, it was very much, and I've been seeing Orion in the sky constantly here, so it's still that energy of Orion being in the east. I guess it's just moving more east, where I think it was a little bit more west when I was seeing it. But it's coming up as east right now, in the morning anyway. So the magnitude of all the stars were coming up. And of course, Sirius is minus 1.4 because it's the brightest star in the sky. Second was coming up as Rigel, or Regal, however you want to say it. And then was Betelgeuse and Procyon, which both are Procyon, which, they're all part of the winter triangle, Sirius, Procyon, and Betelgeuse. And of course, Bellatrix is right next to Betelgeuse. It's like the masculine and feminine energies. And again, it's like the red, white, and blue energies too of the winter triangle. One star is known as the red star, Betelgeuse. Sirius is known as blue, and Procyon is known as white. So it's got that red, white, and blue energy, which was also coming up in what's the show called on Netflix right now? The political show about I don't know, I blank on that name. The unassigned president. I just can't think of the word right now. But they were picking a color for their party, which came up as white. So that was significant, the red, white, and blue energies. And again, magnitude. So magnitude of 1 equals 100 times brighter than magnitude 6 star. So back to the messages of the cards at 251. And the soft pearl and the underlying energy. And the 51 again is the King of Swords, and the 2 of the higher self or the divine feminine, or the 2. The 49 of the woman of light, the 11 of eruption of light, the 57 of lovers, Gemini twins, watching fireworks as the 47 and 49 align. And if the 49ers are coming up, from the heart to crown of the 4 to 7, and then to the 8-9, because in the 6-9-8 pod, the 8 and 9, like the 4 and 5, have to come in together to work. You can't have the pod without the 6 and the 9 around it making the 8. So the 44 is also the Hercules energy and the 4th finger to the 4th chakra, which is the heart, to the 6-9-8 pod, lifting it up to the high heart, and then the 9 of the 4th eye. The pod of Cancer and Leo, or the pod of Cancer and Leo, and then the twins between Taurus and Cancer to Leo. We're coming up in the visual there. And the position of Cancer comes up as a Y, but it also comes up as a double Y, as in the child with their arms up in the air, reaching out to the Gemini twins. Her serious grace reaching out to Lady Liberty and her harvest. Remember that Lady Liberty is the Queen of Swords, because so that can represent a Gemini energy. Getting wish, star light, star bright, and seriously aligned tonight with an eruption of light for lovers to watch and heal. And I think the last alignment was 6 something. I can't remember what it was. Oh, it's Spica at 6:28. It was. I meant to go outside at that time, but obviously I didn't. And it's 7:17 right now, by the way, at the clock. So at 56, the Two of Swords, Dance of the Planets, or Play Nets, of luck and justice and healing, and the Two of Swords knowing. And this card always looks to me like Linda and Paul McCartney walking through a record as the vortex, walking through the cyclone into the vortex, but perfectly fine with both. And again, they're Gemini and Libra, Paul and Linda, and then John and Yoko are Libra and Aquarius. So all these air signs coming up today. Air signs in droves, but that can also be messages in droves, or perhaps verbal attacks, because the verbal type energy can be very sharp and harsh at times. To see showers, take a walk in the white light or snow, or raindrops may be coming up for you, and it's been very rainy here this week. 304 of the Empress and the Emperor with space between. And for me, the cards, very much the Emperor and the Empress, I never saw them as being the ultimate cards to get to in this twin flame journey. I see them as the mother-father energies, and that all the queens and kings are all different types of people. But they don't want to rule over anyone else. The Emperor's the Emperor. They want to rule over others. And that's not the purpose here. The Emperor and the Empress, the only one in control, right, is source energy. So it's that mother-father energy was coming up here again, and the underlying energy of the zebra, the third eye activated, and the dear one perched as the vulture instead, or the old eagle and Altair, watching the clock. And this is where I'd written down that Spica was the only one left to see still at 6:28 tonight. So at 3:06, the first card out here was the otter, the unicorn, and the fish out of water. The curious otter begging the unicorn to leap with them and perhaps take a walk together. And then we had the earthworm, whale, and the butterfly after that. So at 3:40, again, the earthworm is vulnerable to the whale transforming, or perhaps a grandparent with 1 to 2 kids or pets, perhaps taking care of them, where one is curious and one is ungrounded, or a catch of the day. The lucky otter bathing in the unicorn who's aligned with the light, fishing or bait, and which does the otter want to be, the fish or the bait? Or really excited to see shooting stars in the sky. Their own private concert, music of the spheres and all ears, fins, tails, and grins, as the elder tells stories and fairy tales of glory and beauty about them. Cuddling up and then trying their wings again, testing elders' boundaries about leashes and such, just checking in on the love. With the cheetah tempted and can't resist, mesmerized in fact on your sparkle or opal, or letting them pick which one to wear. Moth to flame, Mercury dangerously close to the sun, when the camel comes along full of water with target, or the lamb, and prepared to douse their flame. Butterflies are free to fly, but moths can't resist. Stingray is a connection point, plugged in, turned on, a lamp perhaps. For the depressed raccoon, something new to brighten their day. When I was getting The Jerk, which came up also one of my other reads today, where he leaves and says, "This is all I need, and this lamp." So this lamp comes up here, something new to brighten their day, or help them rise from the ashes when there is no sunshine. Targeting Lucy in the sky with diamonds, a target or dream catcher, awakening the root, the kundalini, all clammed up, putting feelers out, or hair on end, as the dragon with confidence needs no words, and the beaver who's a hard worker, or perhaps that's a squirrel who's collecting. The wise old bird taking them out, creating more light and watching out for them too, so that the lion can relax and feel themselves again, the king of the jungle, without a care in the world. It's a dog's life, watching the world go by from a safe place. The lion's mane at 3:58, really stealth, or in other words, getting away with it because they're so beautiful, or rendering them unable to see your true motives, or a secret knowledge that they have, or using beauty as their secret weapon, expecting the attention at 4:03, again, the Emperor and the Empress, mother, father, and dog, right? Because dog is God. 4:04 in the underlying energy of crystal angels. The first card in the underlying angels, the underlying energy, is sujilite. To own your divine power, replace people-pleasing with assertiveness instead, and empowerment. And then topaz, of forgiveness that heals, to release repressed anger.